When we are nervous, our breath rate and our heart rate increases. Nervous, anxious, experiencing some form of anxiety. Those two things increase. This is a physical, emotional, psychological, and mental strain. And if you've ever encountered this, you know the torture that I'm talking about. And we're going to talk about how to address it right after today's intro. You are excellence. Your mind is of excellence. Your visions are of excellence. Your unique superpower is nothing short of excellence. You amplify a voice of excellence. Your contribution to this world will be of excellence. You will achieve your highest goals and desires with excellence. Excellence in everything, every time. Hey family, I'm Linnita Hosten, your favorite public speaking coach, and I have the privilege of traveling the country as a professional speaker and also building the audacity in women leaders to have the confidence to use their voice in any room. And tonight's topic is a common one because a lot of times I find that individuals fear public speaking because of the inability to overcome the nerves or the nervousness around it. So that's what we're going to dive into tonight. If you're watching the replay, I want you to type in hashtag replay. But if you happen to be joining us live, let me know that you are here by typing in the comments hashtag I am here. If you're watching for the first time and I have not yet met you, type in the comments where you're watching from. I always monitor the comments and I check them after the show too. And if you are listening to our podcast, because we are now on every platform where podcasts are available, I'm excited that you're here and thank you for giving me the ears attached to your mind for our 30 minutes tonight. Okay, so also if you know someone who struggles or is attempting to work through their nervousness when speaking, send this to them, share, send this to someone who you think could benefit. All right, so before I jump into today's topic, I wanted to highlight that over the weekend on Friday, I hosted my Build My Message Masterclass. We did this in my living room. This is something that I'm trying when hosting virtual events to hire a production team to come in and capture it in my home. It just creates a different aesthetic and a different feel. And I get to be in my comfort zone. So that was a win to the attendees who came. And if you weren't able to attend in person, we do have a replay that will be available next week. So keep your eyes open for that. And another highlight this week, definitely a win. We were featured in Influencer Daily about my journey in public speaking, and that article went to press this past Saturday. And so if you can drop a heart in the comments to just for what God is doing and for the exposure that media attention does bring. I'm really excited about that. All right, so how to deal with nervousness when speaking. I want to first start by saying nervousness is natural. When I study successful persons, and I read their stories. I've read 50 Cent's story, Will Smith, Kevin Durant, Oprah Winfrey, Taraji P. Henson, Tiffany Haddish, Kevin Hart. I study them, Steve Harvey as well. I'm looking to see what was it about their journey that made their breakthrough so special, or what was it that enabled them to reach that level of success. And all of them talk about that they still experience nervousness when it's time to perform whatever their talent is. And so that's affirming you and I that the feelings that we have, whether that be intense perspiration under our arms, a severe pulsating heart, whether that be sweaty palms, dryness of the mouth, those things are common and they are what make you human. So let's just talk about 3 ways to deal with them, and then I'll be out of your hair tonight. And, this is one that I'm so adamant about. I think in order for us to address our nervousness, we have to focus on the why we're being positioned to amplify our voice in whatever capacity you're in. So if you're speaking up in the workplace, you've been assigned this role. you were deemed competent. Those in authority are given authority by God. So if you want to have a spiritual context, there's no person in authority that God did not put there. And so that's one. But also, if you have achieved a level of accomplishment where you're leading people or you're in front and you have to speak, reminding yourself of your why you're there. You're there because you're capable and competent. You're there because there's a level of expertise that you have to offer those who are also sharing that space with you. If you're already speaking on the public platform and you've been asked to come and share your advice or your perspective, the why is that you have something of knowledge that's valuable to the people who are there. So that should be your focus. Man, someone saw what I have to offer as valuable enough to share with someone else. I'm supposed to be here. Let me make sure this knowledge transfer is effective. So switch it from, I'm so nervous, I fear that they'll judge me, I fear that I don't know if I'll do a good job. Switch your focus from you and switch it to your why. They got to get this. I'm being used to transfer this information. My voice is being counted on as capable, competent, and worthy. So there's something that I have to give that they got to get it before I leave. So shifting that, having that mental focus, I think is definitely going to help with your level of nervousness. I always say we should be audience centered. A powerful presenter is audience centered. We're thinking through how they feel, what they need, what I can give them in this moment versus how I feel, what I need, what they could give me in this moment. And I think this is also important when your audience, particularly when they don't have a chance to speak back or when you can't see them because the lights are bright. So if you're depending on their feedback or their energy, I think that that kind of takes away from, let me rephrase that. Depending on their energy is putting a lot of is giving the ball back in their court or putting the ball in their court. Instead of depending on the energy, we should be bringing the energy to the space. And again, focusing on your why. Here's the second way. I feel like, there's something that you can do to your actual nervous system to help you reduce anxiety and the strain that stress is having on your body. I don't know if you know this, but your emotions are the highest bioregulation of your body. So before emotions precede your feelings. So before you have a feeling, you have an emotion expressed inside your body. So your pulsating heart, your sweaty hands, your inability to concentrate, those are bioregulators. That's why people say you have a blood sugar spike when your stress is high or when you're anxious or you have a higher heart rate. Your body is responding to the emotion. So you have the emotion and then you have the feeling. So when you begin to feel the bioregulation, what you could do in response to that is breath work. And that's just deep breathing. There's a focus, an intentionality of listening, of focusing on how your body is inhaling and exhaling. So there's one technique, there's so many, and you can YouTube this for sure, but there's one technique, the 4-8-7. So you are inhaling for 4, holding for 8, and then exhaling for 7. And when you are doing those breaths, your chest should be rising, your chest and your belly, focusing on them rising when you are inhaling, and exhaling, focusing on releasing the breaths. I've also learned that if you put the attention on your mouth when you're exhaling, breathing out of your mouth and kind of forming your lips with a kind of a narrow output, allowing your breath to that pathway for it to pass, it being narrow to control. So doing so regains your nervous system. There's another word for this. It's called parasystem. Hold on, I'm gonna tell you what it is. I know it because I wrote it down. It's called your parasympathetic nervous system. This is what introduces a sense of calming to your body. And so when you're nervous, or when we are nervous, you tend to have very shallow breaths. So if you're breathing shallow, um, you are doing opposite of calming the body. So taking the intentionality on your breathing, focusing in on your inhales and inhaling through your nose and then exhaling through your mouth, whether that be 4, 8, 7, or you could do any technique. But that breath work does help to bring some calming to the body. Deep breathing is, to some, if you don't practice it often, it feels very unnatural. And when I read up on this, it mentioned that in our culture, when we are looking to have a slimming effect, we tend to hold our breath and not allow our belly to expand. I'm so guilty of this. To get a flat stomach per se, because if you were deep breathing, your stomach would definitely extract, whether you had a flat one or a not so flat one, it would be extracting. So we would, when we're attempting to slim our stomach, we are holding in the stomach muscles, and this interferes with deep breathing actually. And over time, we're training our breaths to be shallow. And so deep breathing feels a little bit unnatural if you've been training your core or holding it in a lot when you're taking photos. So it's a good practice to introduce deep breathing, not just when you're nervous, but in any moment where you're feeling like you could reset the body, or you want to reset your mind, or you want to reset your day and your mood. Great way to try those, to encourage those breath exercises. And let me know if that's something that you've practiced. You can type it in the comments like, yeah, that's something that I have done. I would love to hear. This is not something that I have done. That's not true. I did it one time, and I'm going to actually, I recorded a TikTok. I'm going to see if I can pull it up. And if you have any questions, please ask them. I was so nervous at this event because I was unprepared. I'm going to talk about that in a second. I was unprepared, and I was hyperventilating essentially in the car before I went in. I got there early and I parked, and I was trying to get my nervousness like under control. I probably won't have a chance to pull it up. So I wish I would have thought about that before the show. Okay, so we talked about focusing on your why, breath work. This is an easy one, but maybe one that you may not have thought of. But making a friend before it's time to speak is a very easy way to have some frame of reference or a sense of support and comfort in the audience. So you can make a friend by arriving early, meeting people, not saying like, hey, I'm the presenter for today, but just meeting people, genuinely learning their names. And then when it's your time to speak, you may say, I enjoyed meeting such and such. Hey, and let them speak back to you. That's making a friend. You can, if you see someone who sits closer to the front before you start, you can say, hey, can you be my friend today? Can I call on you or look to you to help me? So you can do that. You can actually tell them that you need to make a friend. Or you can just be genuinely interested in the people in the room and making connection with them intentional. So whether that is that you arrive early or during your time, when you see people who are making eye contact, if you have a chance to call on them or ask them or include them, great way to do so. And so when you make a friend, that definitely helps to alleviate. It won't eliminate, but it will help your nervousness to subside because you'll begin to develop a sense of comfort. And so those are the few ways I believe, as you are working through your nervousness, ways that you can practice kind of pushing through them anyway. And last thing I'll say is I remember in my class, Stage Power Intensive, someone asked me, what would I tell someone who was about to go on, like they had to present, but they were hyperventilating, like they were about to pass out. It was hard for them to, prepare their minds for what they essentially signed up to do. And what I explained to them was public speaking is like a muscle. The muscle gets stronger the more we lift and practice. So if you're anxious, you have extreme anxiety, and you decide not to go through with it, that muscle doesn't get strengthened. It only gets strengthened through practice. So when we push ourselves to ride the roller coaster when we're afraid, it increases our courage to ride the next roller coaster when we have that same experience. And eventually our bodies will begin to, when it recognizes that we're having that kind of fear, it remembers how you reacted or how you got through it the last time. So the human body is so interesting because it literally functions the way we program it. So the more courageous you become, the more you begin to address those fears and not run from them, your body remembers the last time that you didn't run and you pushed through and what that reward was. And so each time it's going to feel less suffocating and less difficult and less extreme. But when we opt not to do the thing that makes us afraid, we never get to develop that muscle. And so I would say push past those feelings so you can begin to develop the muscle. And eventually your nervousness, the period of nervousness, will not last as long. So this year, I'm almost 10 years in. As of next month, I have to find a way to celebrate. If you have any ideas, please let me know. But I still get nervous, but it probably goes away within maybe 12 seconds. I'm actually going to start counting now. I'm going to count by the time I start and see if I can put a stopwatch by the time it goes away. But I would say between 12 and 15 seconds after I literally first say something, it is gone. There's no more nervousness, but there is leading up to it. And some people who I've studied said the same thing. Beyonce says she still gets nervous. It eventually goes away. Will Smith said the same thing. So what were your takeaways from tonight's episode? I would love to hear them when you think about nervousness and how you're dealing with them. What were your takeaways? And are there any of these that you've practiced or may consider practicing? Any of those that you'll practice or consider practicing? I would love to hear it. I would love to hear it. I was going to send you I was going to show this TikTok, but I would have to screen record it, and I didn't do that. So if you enjoyed the episode, let me know. Drop in the comments. Let me know your takeaways. And if you are listening to this on any podcast platform, thank you for your ears and thank you for your attention that you gave. I will see you all next Tuesday, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. And we're actually beginning a new series for the month of October. Can't wait to share what it is. I'm sure you'll be pleased, and I think you'll learn a lot. So stick with me. I'm excited, always excited to spend this time with you. See you next Tuesday. I love you. There's absolutely nothing you could do about it. Bye. You are excellence. Your mind is of excellence. Your visions are of excellence. Your